For more on this, I want to bring in Chris Vaccaro. He is the national president of the Society of Professional Journalists, which, full disclosure, I am and have been for a long time a member of the SPJ, a very proud one, in fact. But, Chris, let's just start with part of the statement that SPJ released today, where you said in part, quote, "A democracy cannot function when journalists face handcuffs for bearing witness." In your view, is there any justification for Don Lemon's arrest or the arrest of the other independent journalist, Georgia Fort?
No, when you start arresting journalists who are doing their job, who are seeking truth and reporting it for the sake of our principles as American citizens, that's a problem. It's a sad day when you start arresting journalists who are out there for a reason. And we're fighting, we're advocating, and this is not a good day for America if we start doing these things. And SPJ is happy to have you and proud to have you as a member, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, I want to drill down a little on some of what we've heard in terms of this being so unprecedented, right? Because there have been some state cases where journalists who were documenting protest on private property have ended up facing some sort of trespassing charge. Typically, though, the law has favored the journalist. Either there was not a conviction at the end or those charges were dropped. But regardless, I said they were state trespassing charges. Have we ever seen the federal government bring charges this severe against a journalist documenting an active protest?
I don't believe so. I mean, if we have the magnitude of this right now, with the way the administration has been hammering journalists and journalism, with the way that, part of the country is now viewing news gathering as an issue and not a fundamental aspect of our democracy. I don't think we've seen anything like this. And to see Don speak up like that on behalf of the industry and journalism, and also, Georgia Fort as well, who's a proud SPJ member and a legend in Minnesota, they're saying the right things, but they were doing the right thing by upholding their values as a journalist and, really hanging on to those First Amendment rights that we all have.
Where do we go from here? Where do you as an organization go in trying to address this? And if you look down the road, are you concerned this is a glimpse, in addition to what we saw with that FBI raid on the Washington Post reporter's house recently, that this is a glimpse into the future?
Listen, I would hope not. I would hope that these moments are going to be far and few between. Doesn't seem like that. They seem to be escalating, right? This is not the path that we want to go on. This really violates the trust that we have with our government if they're going to look at us as journalists and see us as a problem and not allow us to do our job and to uphold those valuable, incredible First Amendment rights that I keep talking about. Where do we go from here? We have to keep advocating. We have to keep dialing down and sharing our code of ethics with the people who are in our industry and let them know that an organization like SPJ has their back. Let them know that there are tools and resources for them if they are in situations like this from a legal perspective. And also, as a journalism professor, as somebody that works with students every day, I want to make sure that our students in this country understand it's still a noble, valuable craft. It still upholds the values of what it means to be an American citizen and have a free press. So let's not lose sight of that. Let's not lose sight of what it means to be an American citizen and all of what those amendments stand for, but especially the First Amendment.
What do you hope the average American will take away from hearing you speak tonight? I mean, people can always have debates or criticism about the way people report, right? There's always room for a debate about ethical journalism and what you think is appropriate or not, but that's not what we're talking about here, right? We are talking about the law and the federal government getting involved. What do you hope the average American takes away here?
Well, I've been saying this all day. I've said it to my family. I've said it to colleagues. To me, this is not about left and right. This is not about politics. This is about our First Amendment and our rights as American citizens. We have a lot of great men and women fighting for our country, fighting for those rights, while our journalists are upholding a part of those rights. And so I hope that American citizens can understand enough with the politics, enough with the name calling, enough with the less than classy attitude about the people working hard to tell the story of the American condition. And let's all get kind of back maybe into the middle and understand how to respect one another. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. This is our First Amendment, and we have to fight for it. That's the message.
Chris Vaccaro, the national president of the Society of Professional Journalists, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.